Hello, family and friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Shauna, and thanks for being here today on this first Sunday in November. I hope you're having a great day so far, and if not, I sure hope it gets better. Well, let's say a really quick prayer, and then we'll talk about our reading for today. Lord, thank you for every single soul who can hear my voice. Please give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to gain some insight from your text. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, friends. Well, we're continuing in our chronological Bible. In fact, today is day 307. We've been reading the Bible for 307 days, which means we have just under 50 more days to go. I'm so excited. Thanks for joining me on this journey. So with that said, excuse me, today we are going to start with Mark 15, and it's Pilate asks Pontius Pilate, that is, he asks Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Because what's going on in the beginning of our reading is the trial of Jesus before the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. And so there's a lot going on there, but Pilate said, "I find no guilt in him. I don't know why y'all trying to kill him." And then Matthew 27, it details the pivotal moment where a crowd is incited by those religious leaders who brought them before Pilate. And Pilate basically gave up and said, fine. He went and questioned Jesus again and said, "Hey, are you the king? Are you the king of the Jews?" Because Pilate has a conscience. And his wife came to him and said, "Hey, don't do that innocent man any harm. I've had a dream, and in the dream it's warning you not to, cause harm to him." And so Pilate famously washed his hands of guilt, but he gave in to the crowd and said fine, because he first tried to just be done with it and send him to Herod. And King Herod was like, "No, I don't find no guilt with him," and sent him back to Pilate. So anyway, in the long run, in the end of our reading today, Luke 23, crucify him. That's all it was saying. And then the crowd was incited by the religious leaders. And so once Pilate washed his hands of the guilt, he turned him over to the religious leaders and the crowd, and he was led away, but not before, of course, the crown of thorns being placed on his head. Famously, they beat him, they mocked him, they flogged him. I will, double back. Pilate did flog and beat him before he gave him over to the crowd. So much for his hands being clean, right? So that's our reading for today. That's all I'll say, because, most of you I know this story, of course. It's the whole reason why we're Christians in the first place, because Christ died for us and saved us. But enjoy it. I created a video for you. I hope you like it. And before you go, I have one celebrity birthday I saw. I don't usually shout out celebrities, but if I see it, I will. The beautiful Loretta Devine turned 76 today. I love her. She's one of my favorite actresses. Happy birthday, Miss Divine. You are divine, by the way. All right, friends, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoy our reading, and if God allows, come back tomorrow so we can read again. All right, bye.
Mark 15, verse 2. And Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And he answered him, "You have said so." And the chief priests accused him of many things. And Pilate again asked him, "Have you no answer to make? See how many charges they bring against you?" But Jesus made no further answer, so that Pilate was amazed. Matthew 27, verse 11 through 14. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus said, "You have said so." But when he was accused by the chief priests and elders, he gave no answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear how many things they testify against you?" But he gave him no answer, not even to a single charge, so that the governor was greatly amazed. Luke 23, verses 1 through 12. Then the whole company of them arose and brought him before Pilate. And they began to accuse him, saying, "We found this man misleading our nation, and forbidding us to give tribute to Caesar, and saying that he himself is Christ the King." And Pilate asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And he answered him, "You have said so." Then Pilate said to the chief priest and the crowds, "I find no guilt in this man." But they were urgent, saying, "He stirs up the people," teaching throughout all Judea, from Galilee even to this place. When Pilate heard this, he asked whether the man was a Galilean, and when he learned that he belonged to Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him over to Herod, who was himself in Jerusalem at that time. When Herod saw Jesus, he was very glad, for he had long desired to see him, because he had heard about him, and he was hoping to see some sign done by him. So he questioned him at some length, but he made no answer. The chief priests and the scribes stood by, vehemently accusing him, and Herod with his soldiers treated him with contempt and mocked him. Then arraying him in splendid clothing, he sent him back to Pilate. And Herod and Pilate became friends with each other that very day. For before this, they had been at enmity with each other. John chapter 18, verses 28 through 40. Then they led Jesus from the house of Caiaphas to the governor's headquarters. They themselves did not enter the governor's headquarters, so that they would not be defiled, but could eat the Passover. So Pilate went outside to them and said, "What accusation do you bring against this man?" They answered him, "If this man were not doing evil, we would not have delivered him over to you." Pilate said to them, "Take him yourselves and judge him by your own law." The Jews said to him, "It is not lawful for us to put anyone to death." This was to fulfill the word that Jesus had spoken, to show by what kind of death he was going to die. So Pilate entered his headquarters again, and called Jesus, and said to him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you say this of your own accord, or did others say it to you about me?" Pilate answered, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and the chief priests have delivered you over to me." Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have been fighting, that I might not be delivered over to the Jews. But my kingdom is not from the world." Then Pilate said to him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is the truth?" After he had said this, he went back outside to the Jews and told them, "I find no guilt in him. But you have a custom that I should release one man for you at the Passover. So do you want me to release to you the king of the Jews?" They cried out again, "Not this man, but Barabbas." 15 verses 6 through 15. Now at the feast, he used to release for them one prisoner for whom they asked. And among the rebels in prison, who had committed murder in the insurrection, there was a man called Barabbas, and the crowd came up and began to ask Pilate to do as he usually did for them. And he answered them, saying, "Do you want me to release for you the king of the Jews?" For he perceived that it was out of envy that the chief priests had delivered him up. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd to have him release for them Barabbas instead. And Pilate again said to them, "Then what shall I do with the man you call the king of the Jews?" And they cried out again, "Crucify him." And Pilate said to them, "Why?" But they shouted all the more, "Crucify him." So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released for them Barabbas. And having scourged Jesus, he delivered him to be, Matthew 27 verses 15 through to 6. Now at the feast, the governor was accustomed to release for the crowd any one prisoner whom they wanted. And they had then a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when they had gathered, Pilate said to them, "Whom do you want me to release for you, Barabbas or Jesus, who is called Christ?" For he knew that it was out of envy that they had delivered him up. Besides, while he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent word to him, "Have nothing to do with that righteous man, for I have suffered much because of him today in a dream." Now the chief priests and the elders persuaded the crowd to ask for Barabbas and destroy Jesus. The governor again said to them, "Which of the two do you want me to release for you?"
you. And they said, Barabbas.
Pilate said to them, Then what shall I do with Jesus, who is called Christ?
They all said, Let him be crucified. And he said, Why? What evil has he done? But they shouted all the more, Crucify him.
So when Pilate saw that he was gaining nothing, but rather that a riot was beginning, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, I am innocent of this man's blood. See to it yourselves. And all the people answered, His blood be on us and on our children. Then he released for them Barabbas, and having scourged Jesus, delivered him to be crucified. Luke 23, verses 13 through 25. Pilate then called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, and said to them, You brought me this man as one who was misleading the people, and after examining him before you, behold, I did not find this man guilty of any of your charges against him, neither did Herod, for he sent him back to us. Look, nothing deserving death has been done by him. I will therefore punish and release him. But they all cried out together, Away with this man, and release to us Barabbas. A man who had been thrown into prison for an insurrection started in the city and for murder. Pilate addressed them once more, desiring to release Jesus.
But they kept shouting, Crucify him, crucify him.
Third time he said to them, Why? What evil has he done? I have found in him no guilt deserving death. I will therefore punish and release him. But they were urgent, demanding with loud cries that he should be crucified, and their voices prevailed. So Pilate decided that their demand should be granted. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, for whom they asked, but he delivered Jesus over to their will. John 19, verses 1 through 16. Then Pilate took Jesus and flogged him. And the soldiers twisted together a crown of thorns and put it on his head and rated him in a purple robe. They came up to him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews, and struck him with their hands. Pilate went out again and said to them, See, I am bringing him out to you, that you may know that I find no guilt in him. So Jesus came out, wearing the crown of thorns and a purple robe. Pilate said to them, Behold the man. When the chief priests and the officers saw him, they cried out, Crucify him, crucify him. Pilate said to them, Take him yourselves and crucify him. I find no guilt in him. The Jews answered him, We have a law, and according to that law, he ought to die because he has made himself the Son of God. When Pilate heard this statement, he was even more afraid. He entered his headquarters again and said to Jesus, Where are you from? But Jesus gave him no answer. So Pilate said to him, You will not speak to me. Do you not know that I have authority to release you and authority to crucify you? Jesus answered him, You would have no authority over me at all, unless it had been given you from above. Therefore, he who delivered me over to you has the greater sin. From then on, Pilate sought to release him. But the Jews cried out, If you release this man, you are not Caesar's friend. Everyone who makes himself a king opposes Caesar. So when Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out and sat down on the judgment seat at a place called the Stone Pavement, and in Aramaic Gabbatha. Now it was the day of preparation of the Passover. It was about the 6th hour. He said to the Jews, Behold your king. They cried out, Away with him, crucify him. Pilate said to them, Shall I crucify your king? The chief priest answered, We have no king but Caesar. So he delivered him over to them to be crucified. So they took Jesus. Matthew 27, verse 27 through 31. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the governor's headquarters, and they gathered the whole battalion before him. And they stripped him and put a scarlet robe on him, and twisting together a crown of thorns. They put it on his head and put a reed in his right hand, and kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying,
Hail, King of the Jews. And they spit on him and took the reed and struck him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the robe and put his own clothes on him and led him away to crucify him.